Hello, my bead friends. This is RB Jewels coming to you from STO Handmade Jewelry. Today, we're going to finish up part 2 of beading the Rivoli. That's going to set us up to go into the next step for next Sunday. First, I want to greatly apologize. I did not get any videos done for last week. I was under the weather more than I realized. And I'm still adjusting to my new schedule to taking care of my mom. So I appreciate your patience, and it might be a little slower than I anticipated, but I will be more consistent as I am able to adjust to my mother's schedule more. So in the last video, give me a second. You might hear my daughter's dog because she's at work. And so you might hear her. There we go. So in the last video, you should have completed, let's take this out and let's remove everything so it doesn't look so confusing. So in the last video, you should have completed 3 rows. And then what I should have done is shows you is to make sure that the Rivoli fits. As you can see, it does. So now what we're going to do, because we are actually finished with the delicate beads, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to work with the 15-0s. And this is going to tighten the bezel, and we'll be able to sit the Rivoli down in there. And basically, this is the stitch in the ditch where we're going to go around, and we are going to close it up. So we're just going to do this all the way around, and I'm going to do every step with you. And then we will be ready for the next step in the next video. And the reason why I'm taking my time and literally going step by step, because I don't want you to miss any steps towards creating a beautiful piece. I greatly apologize that I was not in frame, but we're doing the stitch in the ditch where we're filling up the holes in between. So that's all that I'm doing. That's what I started with right here, and that's what we're going to do all the way around. I greatly apologize that I was not in frame. So, and the bead just wanted to get away from me. So, and just take your time going around the beads and trying to control the thread as I do this, because usually when I'm not on the I'm not in front of the camera, I just whiz right through it. But I want to make sure that you're seeing exactly what I'm doing, so I'm breaking it down into steps. And after we do that, then we're going to see how the Rivoli fits down into the bezel. So that's what we're going to do. Now you also can do the same thing with other beads, but you're going to need to understand how many beads you're going to need, because some beads like Tohos, they are much larger beads. So you may not need as many beads as we're using right now. Like right now we're using I think it's 36 beads with the delicate beads. With the Toho beads, it can be a lot less because they're larger beads. And the inside of the circle will be a lot bigger if you used the same amount of beads. And check glass beads, let me say this. Check glass beads are smaller than Tohos and the delicate beads, so you would probably need more beads, and maybe I might demonstrate that so you can see what I'm talking about. So now that we're at the end, you're going to step up. You're going to go through the delicate bead and the 15-0 bead. See that? And you're just going to come through. And you are going to pull it tight. So that's what it looks like. So what we're going to do for added security, we're going to add one more row. And you want to pull tight as you go, because it's going to close the bezel in and make the top of it smaller because you're using smaller beads. And because you're using smaller beads, you are able to close the top of the bezel and make it smaller. So see what's happening as we do the bead. See how it's bending more and it's making this side bulge out more. That's because the top part of this is pulling. Strange example, but you know how you see the end of a sausage and it's pulled in tight? Well, this is the same kind of principle, except for we don't have to twist it and wrap it and turn it for it to be completely small. We just have to sew. And that's why you're using the 15-0 beads. So, as I was mentioning, the different types of beads will tell you your base circle for your beads will either be larger or smaller based on the beads that you use. No, you want it to be the same. I meant to say the number of beads will be more or less based on the kind of beads that you use. And you still going to want to use the 15s regardless of the beads that you use, because you still want to have it to close in. You definitely want it to close in. That's something you definitely want to happen. So, and I do take my time. As I mentioned in the previous video, I do not sew fast. I sew well, but not fast. And I'm okay with that. It still accomplishes the same goal. So, yeah. So the same goal is still accomplished, whether you sew fast or slow. And when you're doing this kind of beading, it's okay to do it fast, but you really don't want it to do it really fast because the beads are so small and it's very easy to make a mistake. And I've done it many a times, I promise you, more than I care to admit. As I showed you. So in this one, we're going to go through this 15 right here. If I can get it to go through. You're going to go through that 15. and you're still going to step up. Now, what we're going to do, we're simply just going to close it off. We are not going to add any beads in this round. You're just going to sew all the way around until we get around to the other side. And then we're going to put the Rivoli inside, and then you can see how it fits on the inside of the bead. So and you're just going to continue. This is just continue. Make sure that the thread doesn't, and you just want to make sure that you follow it all the way around. And I know this may seem repetitious, and it may seem, you know, let's get to the fun stuff, but this is part of the foundation of the types of things that you have to know before you can go on to doing all the other things. And be sure that you're tightening it as you go around, and paying attention to where it ends, because let me see, we are going to continue this, and we're going to tie this off, and we're going to thread the back needle, and I believe we are at the end, and this thread wants to come off. So before we tie it off, let me show you what I'm talking about, because now you can see there's a seat inside of the bezel, and you can take your Rivoli and stick it right in there. And there you go. So what we're going to do first is we're going to tie it off. And I don't put knots in it. I have learned that it's good to just, you know, circle around and go through and circle around and go through other beads and go down one more bead and circle around the bead. That way it's making the bead tighter, it's making your thread tighter, and it will not come loose. Okay, and you can go down this bead. Hope I'm still in frame. And go down this bead on the side and come down, and you're just going through your beads. Now this is not going to come loose. So now that this is straight, you want to get your nipper tool. Sorry, I have a throat lozenge. I may or may not have mentioned I have been under the weather and the wonkiness of it all. So you take your nipper tool, kind of slide it through. Okay, I got too many threads. Slide it through, and the thread needle comes off. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the little bead, slide the bead right off. It should be able to slide right off. And so put that right there, and we're gonna put the thread on the other side. see. Hold on for a second. I need to get these pliers. Let me see. Give me a second. Get these pliers. Because I should have had them there and I didn't. But thank God they were nearby. And I didn't have to go far to get them. So remember what I said when you have your pliers. And this is basically to flatten the head on your thread. And there are all kinds of needles out there you can use. And I've just been using the same kind of needle for a long time. And they have tulip needles, which I hear are very good. I actually have one and I've never used it. Maybe if I used it, I wouldn't need pliers, but I'm so used to using the needles that I use and I'm fine with them. Okay, I have to flatten it out some more. So, that's the thing when you do something a certain way on all, you know, trying to make sure I stay with this so I can see exactly where I am and flatten it out. And it's easy to just use the head of the, I know you see me applying so much pressure. You hear the heat coming on. Because it's been very, very cold. Very cold. But it's supposed to warm up today. It's supposed to go up in the 60s, so I'm still not playing around with it. Okay, give me a second here. I'm gonna have to go out of frame to get this. Okay, give me a second. There we go. And we got it on the other side. Now, you can decide which it would be a lot easier to do because all we're doing at this point is closing it off. And if you know you sewed it correctly, your Rivoli will sit in there. It will sit in there. And we're going to do the same thing on the front that we did on the back, which is close it off. We're going to do the same exact thing. And we're just closing it off on the back. Okay. See how it's starting to bend and fold in on itself, and that's what we wanted to do. And we're just going to complete the same step. And I'm normally a lot faster, but I want to make sure that you see exactly everything that I'm doing. So I'm taking my time. And it is satisfying when you accomplish something, even such as small as, you know, bead bezeling a Rivoli, because this is just one step into adding you know, to be adding to your design techniques is doing this. And let me see what I'm talking about? I skipped a bead, and I was taking my time. It happens to the best of us. Happens to everybody. And I'm glad it did happen, so you can see just what I was talking about. So you can see just what I was talking about. And you definitely still want to tighten down your beads as you are going. Do the same thing on the back. On the front, you want to do on the back because you want your Rivoli to stay in place as you sew. And we are, same as we did on the front, we're going to add a second row. Well, just like we did on the front. And we're going to sew it in just like we did on the front. And you pull as you go. You do want it tight. Because we're going, the next step, you will see what we're going to do with the Rivoli after it's been beaded. So, yeah. And that's okay. Sometimes the thread might get like a little wonky or whatever. You just want to take your time. And we're going to step up, but my bead is is doing its own little thing, and we're getting ready to see once it's doing its own thing. There you go. And we're going to step up, and actually I'm forcing it to do what it's supposed to. And you're pulling as you're going. I know my hand is in the way, but you're pulling as you go, as you're going. Don't make the mistake that I made. I lotioned my hands, which I needed to do that. And it's making it a little, making everything slide a little bit. But we're gonna keep going, because as you can see, as I'm sewing, the Rivoli is pulling in the back the same way that it's pulling in the front. As you can see, let me turn it like that. You can see that it's pulling, and it's making it tighter as I go along. And that's what you want. You want it to be tighter as you go around. If you ever do that and you put lotion on, just keep a little alcohol pad beside you so that you can rub your fingers on it. And you can continue to keep going. I try to be as prepared as I can, and sometimes I still don't have everything that I need when I'm working on these, working in the studio. And also, too, it's a very good idea to practice making Rivolis. And, you know, you'll master it for sure. You'll definitely master it, and you'll be able to use them, in all kinds of designs, as I have showed you in pieces before. You can make simple earrings, a simple pendant. There are people who like minimalist type jewelry, and a simple Rivoli necklace may be something that's all they want. And then you can make more elaborate pieces with Rivolis or beaded, Rivolis. Let me see. As you can see, we're almost finished. So, it's the sky is the limit when you are, beading a piece. It's definitely, the limit of what you can do. Once you learn the basics, and I tell everybody, it's about learning the rules. Then you learn how to use those rules to your benefit once you learn the rules. But you have to learn the rules first. No matter what you want to do or what you want to make in terms of jewelry, you have to learn whatever those basic rules are first. So, and as you can see, we are indeed almost finished. And we have one more Rivoli, and we're going to stick it in, and we're going to go up. And if you have to go up one, or can go through both if you can. And then we are going to do the next step, which is just to sew through. The beads without adding any other beads. So this is where we are now. We're not adding any more beads, and we're just closing it off as we go. And sometimes it gets a little wonky. Sometimes it's a little tight, and in this case, maybe I didn't, sew it tight enough. But it still can happen. So, but these Rivolis are still usable for the purpose that we're going to use them. Okay. And sometimes they tighten up as you go along, so. Yeah. So, and we are almost finished. So, and this is basically how you make a Rivoli. This is how you do it. Okay. Yeah, we have a couple more to sew through and to pull as we go along. So, yeah. And you can always look to see when you've pulled your thread as you go around. So, and your Rivoli gets nice and tight. Okay. And now that it is nice and tight and your Rivoli is completed, we are going to do the same exact thing that we did with the other side in making sure that the Rivoli is indeed secure. So you want to go up and down. Basically, we're just zigzagging through the piece and making sure that it is indeed secure. And then we're going to go down. Let me make sure. Where am I? Yeah, we're going to go down this side. And then we're going to go down this side. And we're going to come back up that side. So basically, we're just zigzagging through to make sure that it will not come out. And then we're going to sew down through this side. Basically, you're just following your thread paths and your beads. And down this side. And down this side. And you're going to go down this side one more time. So as you can see, your Rivoli is tight. You can pull the thread off. And we're going to put all of this aside because we are indeed finished. So now you can take the thread off. And now you have your completed Rivoli on both sides. Turned out really, really nice. So we are finished right here, but get ready for the next step in this series where I will show you how we're going to use this Rivoli that's going to create a beautiful beaded piece. So until next time, happy beading.